Hey everybody, this is our first lesson of our Unit 1, Topic 1, America the Beautiful. It's called the Mini Maps of the U.S. I just wanted to take a second to walk you through our lesson slides to show you kind of how our social studies lessons will flow, and then I'm going to model how to complete the first activity, which will be making observations using different kinds of maps. So if you look here, you can present the slides to go ahead and advance through them while you're at home just by clicking on them. And we always have our unit goal first. So in Unit 1, we will gain a basic understanding of world and United States geography and practice reading and interpreting a variety of world and U.S. maps. We will learn to use different types of maps so that they are later equipped to make connections between them. So our students need to learn what a map is, how to read it, and how to use it. So as we get deeper into social studies, they can be successful. Our standards for this lesson and for the next few lessons is we're going to locate and label the continents, oceans, poles, and just learn to read the parallels and meridians on a map and globe. We'll also eventually use a map scale to measure the approximate distance of two locations. And today we are going to interpret various types of maps using a key, legend, compass rose, including cardinal and intermediate directions, and also longitude and latitude. So the key questions for topic 1, we will answer these 3 questions in the middle of topic 1, and by the end of topic 1, your students should be able to answer these questions. So the first one is, what information do maps tell us about a given area? How do we read a map, and how do we use a map? So with just lesson 1, your child should be able to tell you by the end of this lesson, what information do maps tell us? So I like to do something at the beginning of lessons called a brain dump. The kids giggle at that word, but I'm literally asking them to dump whatever is in their brain about a certain topic onto paper. It could be words, it could be phrases, it doesn't have to be complete sentences. This is just warming up your brain and dumping out all of the information on the page. So there are 4 questions that I am asking the students. The first one is, why do we use maps? The second one is, what information do maps give us about an area? Number 3 is, what features might you find on a map? And number 4, what did people do before we had GPS and cell phones? So I'm going to go out of the slideshow for a minute, and now I'm going to go into my student work page. This is also posted on your Google Classroom, titled Lesson 1, Making Observations with Map Student Work Pages. And here is where you're going to see our brain dump page. I am going to zoom in because this is way too small for me to see, so it might be for you. So I'm going to go to the magnifying glass and go to 50%. And this is where I'm okay with is 50%. 100% is a little too close. If it still magnifies, it's still highlighted, so you have to click off of that. So now I can go to my brain dump. I'm going to warm up my brain and see what I know. And it's okay if you don't know. I mean, we're going to answer these questions in the next few lessons. So I just want to see what you do know. So if you leave a square blank, that's okay. You don't have to know the answer to these questions right now. So let me just think out loud and think about, why do we use maps? Well, I use a map to find out where I'm going. So I'm going to type to find out where to go. Or, if I'm lost, it helps me find my way. How else could I use a map? I'm using a map to, I'll use a map to go to Grandma's house. You type whatever you think you use a map for. And it doesn't even have to be, a map to go places. There's a lot of stores and malls, and Disney World has maps. Zoos have maps to help you find certain exhibits. So why do you use maps? You can fill that in now. The second question is, what information do maps give us about a particular area? So I'm trying to think back of the last time that I saw a map. It might have been a while. It might have just been on my phone. But what do I see when I look up an area on a map? So I might see roads. I might see rivers. It might tell me like where cities are. So you tell me what you think about what you see. And if you're not sure, it's okay. You don't have to fill it in. This is just getting your brain going. So fill in question 2 now with what you think. Number 3 says, what features might you find on a map? What are features on a map? I don't know if I've ever heard that question before. So since I don't know it, I'm going to skip it. And if you don't know it, that's okay, because we're going to have a lesson on map features. If you do know map features, you can fill that in now. So since I don't know number 3, I'm going to go on to number 4. What did people do before GPS and cell phones? GPS and cell phones make everything so easy now. What did people use before we had cell phones? What do you think they used to get from point A to point B? I'm going to say they might have asked someone for directions. And maybe they used a paper map that you could buy at the store. You fill in whatever you think that people used before we had GPS in our cars and cell phones right at our hands. Okay, fill that in now. And that's an example of a brain dump. So in the future, when you see a brain dump on one of your student work pages, that's all I want you to do. Is I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to dump out whatever information you have in your brain. And if you don't know, that's okay. That lets me know that you're going to learn it within the lesson. Okay, so now let's go back to our lesson slides. We have completed our brain dump. Now we have our minds thinking on maps. So we're going to examine 6 maps today, and we're going to make observations about what they have in common, like what's similar and what's different within the maps. And so this year, we're going to learn how a country's border and people change over time. And one tool that we use to see those changes is a map. A map is a drawing that shows what places look like from above and where they are located. So why do we use maps? And are there different kinds of maps that we can use? So at home, I have 6 maps on this slideshow. I'm going to show you how to look at the similarities and differences of map A and B. And you are going to tell me the similarities and differences of map C through F. So we're going to determine how they're the same and how they're different. And be sure that you already have your work page pulled up for this assignment, which you should, because we just did the brain dump on our work pages. Okay. So let's look at map A and map B. And I just want you to look at it. Make observations about anything. It could be what's on the map. It could be map titles. It could be map colors. I just want you to tell me what you see. So I'm going to think out loud for you and tell you what I'm seeing. So map A says pre-Columbian world map. And map B says Columbus, Magellan, and da Gama, and it gives me a time period, 1482 to 1522. So it looks like a world map. Both look like world maps, right? So I'm going to just get out of this full screen right now, and I'm going to go to my making observations with map A and map B. So map A was my pre-Columbian, and map B was the one with Columbus, Magellan, and da Gama. So I'm going to say that they both look like world maps. And I'm going to type that in both, because they both look like world maps, right? So if they're the same, they both have it. So let me zoom in a little bit. So now let me look at the pre-Columbian map. and look at the one after Columbus sailed, the Columbus map. I am noticing with the landforms in the pre-Columbian map, it looks like all of the land is stuck together, right? It looks like everything's connected. It looks like you could start over here and you could travel all the way across land, across the world. But over here, after Columbus, I'm seeing it looks like Columbus's sailing route there, and it's looking like the land is not connected. So I'm going to put that as a difference. So I'm going to go back to my page, and I'm going to say in the pre-Columbian world map, it's mostly land with little water or oceans. But the Columbus, Magellan, and Da Gama map is mostly water or oceans with little land. And also what I noticed was that the land was all connected on this map, and here the land was separated by water. And if you misspell a word or type too fast, that's okay. You can just spell check it. Okay, so now let me go back to my map and see if I see anything else. You zoom out just a little bit. Okay, so also looking at the maps, I notice that one map has some names with some lines, which makes me think, I know Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. So that makes me think that these other names are also explorers. So one map, the map B, has explorer routes on them, and map A doesn't. So it makes me think that map A is before explorers. So I'm going to type that in. So map A is before explorers, and map B has the explorer routes to America. Let's see if we notice anything else. I also noticed that map A is in color and map B is in black and white. So that is also an observation that you can make. So the map is in color. And this map is black and white. So this is how you're going to go through maps C through F and make observations about what they look similar and how they look different. So if you keep scrolling, your next page is for map C and map D. Your next page is for map E and F, and do these pages just like I completed map A. And if you keep going in your slideshow, here's map C and D. Slide 11 is map E and F. Tell me what you see that's similar and tell me what you think is different. Once you complete that, I have an exit ticket for you today to show me what you learned from today's lesson and to kind of go back to our previous lesson of key themes of social studies to have you make a connection to the key themes. So I want you to identify and explain 2 purposes of maps and tell me, just out of the 6 maps that we've looked at today, what was their purpose? What were they used for? Were they there to show a certain area like the world or the United States? Did they show maybe climate? Or did they show an explorer route? What was a map's purpose? So tell me the map and tell me what it was used for. And then, based on your knowledge from the key themes and today's lesson of maps, what do you think maps falls in with a key theme? Out of the 7 key themes, why do we use maps? And where do you think it would fall under the key themes? So my first guess on key themes is migration and movement, because you move when you use a map. You're usually going places. So if that was your answer too, tell me why maps connect to migration and movement. So let's go back to our work pages. Once you answer for the maps, here's your exit ticket. Here's where you identify and explain the purposes of maps. And then here is where you type what key theme that our lesson with maps connects to today. And you can pull up the key theme slideshow from the previous lesson of key themes that you did on Monday. Okay, that's it for today's lesson. Our lesson slides will continue to flow like this, and I will make a few more videos to kind of walk you through it. And eventually you will get the hang of it to where you can kind of go through the slideshows and read them, and you'll need less of me and you'll be able to do it on your own. But today, during this Unit 1 task, we learned how to read maps. And as we continue to learn how the United States changes and grows this year, we will learn why these maps and boundaries of countries keep changing even when the land stays the same. So I hope you have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.